As you think about your greatest workforce challenge, you may be thinking it's about alignment. Aligning programs and employer needs, or aligning funding with priorities. You may be thinking about aligning students and pathways. You may believe that the solution is strengthening partnerships, expanding capacity, or even improving career navigation. These are all important and can certainly have an impact. But what if the biggest issue is actually that the people that you hope to be able to train and prepare for tomorrow's workforce will not actually exist in the numbers that you would expect? So let's look at the demographic realities. We'll just go ahead and move without the slides. So if we think about the demographic realities, one of the things that's very important is that birth rates are declining. The high school graduating class that will graduate here in a few weeks is actually the smallest that it's been in 50 years. Most people don't realize that. But as we think about that, not only is it declining in terms of size, but the other thing that we're also seeing is that the birth rate continues to drop. And in fact, what we're going to continue to see based on economic conditions is that birth rate will continue to drop at an even faster rate. Today, it's at 1.55. In order to be able to replace the population, it needs to be at 2.1. At the same time, retirements are actually accelerating. So as we think about what's happening, because of the baby boom generation, through 2030, we're going to see 11,000 baby boomers every day turn 65. And as they turn 65, they're going to be leaving the workforce at a far more rapid rate than what they have in the past. Now, obviously another thing we've been talking about while we've been here at the conference is AI and automation. And certainly that is increasing and will continue to do so. But as we think about what's going to take place with that, it's not going to reduce the need for people. It's simply going to change the type of people that we need. So for instance, we're going to be able to need individuals who can adapt, who can troubleshoot, who ultimately can work alongside and actually work with technology in order to be able to help us achieve our ends. Automation actually will raise the overall skill forward. So our challenge is that we have more jobs and fewer people. What that equates to then is a long-term talent shortage. So by the time students reach high school, many have already begun to think about what they want to do. In fact, in many cases, their plans are very well baked. And so as we think about this, one of the things that's important is that that's happening because the sense of who they are and what they want to do, that they've decided that far earlier than what we're even beginning to engage them with. If students don't see themselves in high-demand careers at the time they're 13 or 14, we may have lost the opportunity to actually be able to get them engaged. In fact, what we may find ourselves doing is having to work backwards, either to sell them on those careers or to get them to even think about changing their mind. It may be a case that they don't even they're not even aware that they actually exist, but there's a lot of work that needs to happen in order to make that happen. So, in essence, we're not losing the talent pipeline. The issue is that we're starting too late. And so, as we think about having that conversation, here's the shift that we need to be able to make. Workforce pipelines now must begin in middle school, which for many of us is going to seem like very, very early. And it's not because we're trying to convince kids about jobs. It's not that we're trying to train them for jobs. But this is the point at which their whole identity is being shaped. It's about the time that they're most curious, and it's the time that their career imagination is at its highest. So this is the time that we actually have the opportunity to be able to make the most impact and actually be able to help them understand what careers are available. This is the time that they decide whether they are interested in being able to build things, solve problems, work with technology, or ultimately help people. If our systems aren't aligning with those needs, then we're going to end up missing substantial opportunities. So as we think about this, the regions that are winning are doing some really unique things. And some of you here in the room are already doing these things. For those that aren't, this is a great opportunity just to begin to kind of think about things that you may be able to do that are different than what you've done before. So those winning regions, what are they doing? Well, first of all, they're partnering with middle schools. They're bringing employees into the classroom. They're also creating hands-on experiences that actually spark curiosity and help create awareness about jobs and skills that are going to be needed for the future workforce. Others are supporting teachers with tools that actually will connect to the curriculum. These are all things that are things that are possible today, and there are things that individual organizations, school districts, and employers are already doing. The key piece is that they're building long-term relationships, not short-term recruitment pipelines. And this is not about shifting the resources. Rather, it's about expanding that timeline. It's really about being able to shift that timeline earlier than what we may have been used to in the past. What we need to be able to do is we need to be able to plant seeds so that students know about the pathways, so that they are aware of the industries. Ultimately, that they have a sense about the available opportunities. This is really about being able to future-proof the workforce. So, the question we must ask ourselves is this: what are we doing today? What are we doing today to build awareness amongst workers that we're going to need in 5, 10, or 15 years? If the answer is not enough, then now is the time to act. And so as you see here from the slide, these are the questions that, regardless, as you think about the area that you may come from, if you're a community college, how can you become visible and inspire those middle schoolers? Which middle school, youth program, or community organization can you begin to partner with? As we think about it from a workforce board perspective, what can you do to help employers really create that early sense and that early exposure to career opportunities? And if you're a state leader, how can you support a system-wide strategy that actually starts earlier and reaches deeper? Regions that start early win. Ultimately, the future talent pipeline isn't something that we need to be waiting for. It's something that we build. It starts now, and it starts younger than ever before. Thank you.